All right, what's going on, social media family? So good to see all of you all. I'm going to give everybody just a minute to jump in here. For those of you that may be new to following me or my platform, I am Christopher J. Harris, and I have the amazing privilege of serving as a church consultant, but also I have the amazing privilege of serving as the executive pastor at Crossover Church in sunny, beautiful, award-winning Tampa, Florida. And we're thankful for the privilege to be able to jump in here. And I know that there'll be people that'll be jumping in and out of the conversation. We're on multiple platforms right now, and we'll even save this live so that people will be able to jump back in. But I'm on with a great guy, a new friend. We've been getting a chance to get to know each other here over the last few months and connecting on multiple levels, and thankful for that. And so I want to introduce to my platform Corey Alderin, who is the co-founder, but is the CEO for SermonShots. And we're going to tell you all of what that means. Let me just right out of the gate tell you that that unapologetically, I am committed to the church, every church, having incredible access to resources. And when I say every church, I'm saying that I recognize that some of our larger churches, 1,000 members or more, or maybe 2,500 members or more, have a little bit more latitude to hire graphic designers or social media director or communications team, or even partner with organizations that do that work. Whereas many of our smaller churches, 750 or less, they have more part-time staff. So they don't even have the capacity or the margin to hire a full-time social media director or whatever. So today I'm going to talk about SermonShots, and Corey's going to talk about SermonShots in a way that makes it really, really bottom shelf and easy for whatever size church you are to be able to have access to some incredible resources and presentations and all that kind of good stuff. So that's a big introduction. But Corey, what's up, man? Good to see you.
Hey, yeah, good to see you too. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. And I'm not going to brag about the weather that I have where I am and ask you about the weather where you are.
Hey, this time of the year, I think I appreciate being up north a little bit more.
Okay.
Keeping
Okay.
a little bit cooler than than maybe down south. 6 months from now, 3 months from now, maybe I'll be different. But
You'd be like, hey man, you got an extra room? Can I come hang out?
yeah.
So one of the things that kind of random, this is a total side note for just a second before we get into SermonShot stuff, but Corey and I were getting ready to jump on a call one day, and he was like, "Hold, man, like I need an extra few minutes." I'm like, "Okay, no problem, I got it." And he comes on, and he's like, kind of catching his breath, and he's like, "Yeah, man, just finished golfing, but my wife and I also we just got like season tickets to da 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 da." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, so you're bragging?"
I
Tell everybody about that, Corey.
Yeah, well, definitely golf. That whatever day that was one of my 4 times this summer that I got to golf.
Yeah.
And those tickets I was very fortunate to get. So I'm here in Indianapolis, the craze of fever right now, right? Well, we got those season tickets before Caitlin Clark announced, and so we got them very cheap. I mean, bottom level. We have great seats. Next year, I don't know if I'm going to get that same price though.
I can almost predict, and I'm not trying to be a prophet right now, but I can almost predict you're probably yesterday's price is not today's price.
Yes, and anything related to the fever right now is definitely higher in the future.
It's
sure.
fever. It's fever pitch.
Yeah, right.
You see what I did there? I love that.
So but my kids are very happy. I've got 2 girls that love basketball, and they love it. So
that's awesome, man. So really fast, just take a moment and just introduce yourself to everybody and tell everybody a little bit of just about who you are and some of the work that you've done in the past and what God's been doing in your life.
Yeah, well, I guess it depends on how far you want to go back, but I've just for the last 10 or 15 years I've been doing online something. building software, and in the last 3 or 4 years, really made a shift to like how take all of that knowledge that has been built up in the software online world, and how can I apply that to the church? So I'm me and my business partner very passionate about the church, involved in our church, and that just was one of the things that we really felt like we were being called to do is take software to the church. And so that was kind of the early start of SermonShots.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. And you guys were, as I understand it, on the front end of this conversation around tech and AI and all that kind of good stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So SermonShots, we started kind of building the code about 3 years ago, which if you can remember, the term AI was not a household term until a year and a half ago, maybe somewhere around there. So
Yeah.
we were definitely early in that, using some AI early on. You would have never seen that term in our marketing or on our homepage or website anywhere because nobody really knew what that meant until about a year and a half ago. But yeah, we were definitely starting off early.
That's awesome, man. And so I'm sure you guys had to like defend yourself and say like, okay, we're not cyborgs and we're not trying to, like take advantage of anybody. And this is legitimate. And this is not this is not like spam or, any of those kinds of things. It's a legit conversation.
Yeah. Related to AI, you mean? Using AI? Yeah. Well, it's definitely a thing. Early on when we started using the term, and still to this day, I think there's a lot of maybe misunderstanding of how AI is used in different areas. So for sure.
Yeah. So I want to kind of turn the corner here just a little bit. You also let me just also mention before we do that though, but you're also active at a church currently as well and serving in leadership at that church and that kind of thing. You want to talk a little bit about that at all, or?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I definitely, the passion for the church, it goes beyond just SermonShots. I've been very involved in my church from day one. I've done all kinds of things. I've done leading groups. Small groups. I coached small group leaders, and I'm part of the leadership team at the church now as well. So also greeted at the front door. So I've done everything.
That's a blessing. That's a blessing. So I found you guys because I was looking at some resources for the church where I serve and stumbled upon you all and had a chance to meet one of your team members and was absolutely blown away at the platform and the resource. And so candidly, we started implementing this resource, that is SermonShots, at our local church, at the church where I serve as the executive pastor. And the ease of it all, the engagement of it all, the look and feel of it all, the final product that we get every single week, it was so easy friendly, so user friendly, so smooth, so professional. And I was like, man, we need to get this into the hands of other pastors. And I work with a lot of churches. I work with a lot of pastors, different sizes, different denominations, different parts of the country. And I knew that this would be a blessing to churches and pastors that would at least get their hands on it. And so you and I started talking and we developed a partnership, and here we are. And so tell everybody a little bit about SermonShots, just at a sort of as a demo level or foundational level. And then we'll actually let people actually see a little bit of a demo of what we're doing, what we're talking about.
Yeah. So SermonShots, the whole idea is really utilizing your sermon more. It takes your sermon and repurposes it into all kinds of different content. So the thing that most people know us for is making sermon clips or sermon reels, whatever you call them, turning your sermon into those 30, 60-second bite-sized pieces that are shared on like Reels and TikTok, that sort of thing. That was our first product, and that thing, you can make clips in like 5 minutes very quickly that look nice and look different for your church, all that. But we also turn it into all kinds of other pieces of content too. So discussion guide for your small groups, a blog post for your website, turns it into audio, so you can upload it for like a podcast, a 5-day devotional. So those are great, like short reads, all built around your sermon, so that a person that like reads every 5 days actually gets a good sense of what your sermon's about. It's just kind of a different way to ingest it. We have quotes. We try to find 20 good quotes from the sermon that you can use in different places, put them on images or share them on Twitter, X. It pulls every Bible verse. And we have some other good stuff coming out too, which will be the ability to make quote images and thumbnails. So everything you can think of how you can repurpose your sermon, we're trying to help with that.
What's amazing about that is I know as a preacher, when you spend however many hours it takes to do your sermon, to then it dies, after the service is over with, is just not good, right? And so to be able to get to a place where that content then is repurposed and it lives in other formats and in other ways, it's just been genius, man. It's been absolutely genius. And here's the other thing I love that you're doing. You're constantly reinventing yourself. You guys are constantly adjusting what you do and how you do it. So let's talk a little bit about that. Let's talk a little bit about some of the additions and some of the updates to what you guys have been doing.
Yeah, well, we definitely we've got a great team, a developer team specifically of 5 people at the moment that are, constantly looking for the new things to put out there for the church. I just briefly mentioned this, but I can explain a little bit more. In the last 3 weeks, we released the 5-day devotional, the quotes and Bible verses, and any day now, probably in the next week or two, it's YouTube thumbnails will be ready to where it's just automatically pulling from the video, and it'll put a title and it'll look like a picture, not just like a snapshot or like a screenshot of a video. Quote images. I know those are really popular. Basically taking some of the great quote moments and putting them inside of an image, and it's going to work very similar to the way that the clips work. And so if you're used to making the clips in our system, you're going to be able to make images really fast and easy as well. So
I love that. And so when you think about it, especially from the standpoint that sometimes from your sermon, you may want there to be small groups or, leadership discussions from what a pastor may preach. I know if a pastor is doing a series on finances or a series on leadership or a series on generosity or stewardship or a series on faith, like imagine what that looks like then where he does this 2 or 3 or 4 week series, or he or she does this 4 or 5 week series on faith. And then you got these questions that are then generated that you can then email out to your list on Sunday night or Monday morning for your folks to see it. And so it's just amazing things. So not just, it's a discussion guide, it's a sermon transcript. Sometimes that can be a blog post or that can be a part of your e-newsletter, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so just amazing stuff. And I know that lots of people now are wanting to create podcasts. So you got a mechanism now where it easily converts to the podcast. Talk a little bit more about the podcast piece of it as well, so that people don't have to feel like they have to do their sermon, but then have another channel for a podcast.
Yeah. So if what you want to do is basically offer up your sermon in a different place, right? On like Spotify or Apple Music, that sort of thing. It needs to be in a slightly different format. And when you upload your sermon, we run that formatting for you, and within about 5 minutes you can download that audio version that's ready to go. All you have to do is upload it. So
that's amazing. Corey, we've been talking about it. Let's show the people what we're doing here, and let's give them a little bit of a demo of what you got going on. So we see that on the screen there. Let me move this lower third so that doesn't cover up what you're doing, and let's talk it through, man.
Okay, so this is basically where you upload your sermon. So this is where you start when you jump into SermonShots, and it all starts with your sermon. There's 3 different ways that you can upload your sermon. It's from your computer, from YouTube. All you do, upload paste in the YouTube URL, or you can even live stream it straight in. So if you set it up to live stream, just like you're live streaming to Facebook or YouTube, right? Like we're doing here, you can set SermonShots as one of the endpoints, and it'll just upload automatically for you. Once it's uploaded,
So
you
hold
then
on, Corey. I'm sorry. Let me
go ahead.
just interrupt you just for a second. It's to say, for the people that are not tech savvy, that don't know what that is, that's a 2 hour time saver right there.
it could be. You set it up one time and it's, yeah, you're done.
But I'm just saying, the people that have to do that each week without SermonShots, if they're trying to load their sermons up each week, it's taking an hour, 2 hours sometimes, depending on internet speed or where you may be or what platform you have. So the
Sure.
fact that you guys integrate it automatically, it just saves time.
Yep. So once you have it uploaded, it then runs through everything, right? It runs through all the AI and the analyzing, and it spits out basically this hub of your sermon. This is everything that we make for you for a sermon. So 5-day devotional, quotes, summaries. I'll show you each one, and I'll actually come back to each one of these, and I'll come back to sermon clips. But discussion guide. So like it creates the summary for the guide automatically, a prayer, an icebreaker, key verses, questions, life application, key takeaways, ending prayer, everything that every like church probably has in there. You may not use all of it, but you can copy and paste the certain pieces that you want. And it's a great like first draft of your discussion guide. So that first draft I know can be time consuming, but you can take this, edit it if you want to.
I was about to say there's room for you to edit and have it proofed and all that kind of stuff, and confirm any errors that might be in that initial text, right?
Yep, absolutely. I think I think AI does an excellent job of first drafts, and for me, on any sort of writing that I'm doing, that first draft is definitely the hardest one, the most time consuming. And once I get that fixed by AI, I can edit things to fit the way I need to. So, yep.
Let me take a step back. I'm gonna take this off screen for just a second and come right back to this, because as you're talking, I don't want to assume that somebody watching this immediately gets AI, right? Mm-hmm. Like for some people, it still may be a foreign concept, and they're still like, "Whoa, wait a minute, what?" Right? And what a lot of people don't realize is that AI has already been integrated into our lives so much already anyway. It's integrated into our habits with our phones. A lot of for those that have like little mini computers on your dashboard in your car, it's giving you suggestions on, best places to drive or not drive. It's telling you suggestions on, like, if you get in your car every day at 7:15 and you go to the same place, let's just say that's the gym, or let's just say that's the smoothie place or breakfast place or whatever. AI is already working in that regard, right? Predictive texting. So if you're texting people, that's why it's finishing certain sentences. If you're on social media, that's why it's helping you to navigate all of those things. So I'm talking already, but just talk a little bit about that for the person that's still kind of new to the whole AI conversation.
Yeah, AI, I guess, just to confirm what you're saying, AI has been everywhere. It's not been until recently that we all have the ability to really use this AI more for like what we're doing. And the way I like to think about it, because I do know there's hesitation like to AI in the church space. There's extreme examples of people using it maybe in some ways that probably not ideal. But then I think there's also sometimes people go straight to the idea of like, oh, AI is creating this for me, but it's not like Holy Spirit inspired, or, like it's not, there's nobody doing that. Well, I think the way that I think about it is, although all that might be true, I think that I don't think anybody should be taking the output and displaying it right away to the person. You should be, or the person in the church should be, that middle person in between the AI and the output, or where it's being displayed, right? So it's use it like a tool, like you would any other tool, but don't rely 100% on it. So like I kind of mentioned in my talking about it like a good first draft, I really think you need to treat every AI output as a draft, or like the way I might think about it too is like a person who just started on your church staff today or yesterday. Yeah. They're giving you something. Would you trust that day one they deliver that to the congregation? Probably not, right? Like there's going to be some buffer there of like looking at it before it's sent.
Absolutely.
I think you should treat it exactly like that. And so use it, but be cautious and don't copy paste exactly what it outputs. So
Absolutely. And again, I want to suggest to people that this is not, AI is not some brand new phenomenon that's not already, in many cases, integrated into many areas of our lives. It's already there, and we've just got to be committed to at least acknowledging how to use it to our advantage. A good friend of mine, Kenny Yang, is Kenny may or may not see this, but I know they jokingly call Kenny the bishop of AI because he's always talking about AI. I know he's been traveling doing presentations and that kind of thing. So giving Kenny a quick plug there. So I'm going to go back and let you share screen there and take the demo a little bit further.
Yeah. All right. So that's discussion guide was the first one. Transcription. So the whole transcription's there for you to download. The blog post that I was talking about. So what it does is turns it into it's about a 1,500 word long summary that is broken up, given headlines and titles and all that, like you would see on a typical blog post. Audio that I mentioned, simply download it. You can play it and listen to it too if you want to. Different summaries. So there's 4 different ones that we have in here right now for different use cases. So a shorter one, a longer one specific for YouTube, and then a really short one for social media. Quotes and verses. This is a new one that we've added. It's pulling 20 different quotes from the sermon that are, these are used in a couple different ways. I think I may have mentioned some of this a little bit. X, Twitter, great for that. Easy copy and paste to that. People put these on images sometimes. You might put this in your content that you're sending out to the congregation as well. And then if it's helpful, every single verse that's mentioned in that sermon as well is given to you.
So good.
Then this one is the 5-day devotional. So this one, I think this one has been one of our popular recent ones. It turns it into 5 days, 5 different days. It comes the devotional part, which is somewhere between 4 and 6 sentences. A Bible verse from the sermon related to this devotional, a reflection question, a quote from the sermon, and a prayer. And each day builds on itself, and it really is a good reflection of the entire sermon. And so it can be used as an add-on to the sermon. You get a devotional based on it, or it might be another way that if somebody missed, they can read about the sermon in a kind of a different way.
So good, man. So, I mean, this platform, SermonShots, does the job. How many people would you say that this normally, in terms of a staff, is this the job of 4 people, job of 5 people?
It probably depends on the church. I know like a small group, if you got a church that has a small group leader or somebody that's, devoting a significant amount of time, that can be 5 hours of your time right there, right?
Yeah.
Thinking of all thinking about the devotional, thinking about the discussion guide, writing that out. Blog post can be really hard to write. That could be really difficult, actually. That could be another 5 hours for somebody writing that. Converting to audio depends on your media team. If you know what you're doing, that can take some time. Summaries, writing a summary, if you're using that in different places, that can take some time.
Yeah.
And then we haven't even covered the sermon clips. I know that like media teams, sometimes, a sermon clip can take an hour. If you're getting really good at it. Yeah. I mean, if you're starting out like that can be a very time consuming thing.
Yeah.
But the best of them can even take an hour still. Yeah. So,
good.
I think what this can do is and this isn't a replace jobs sort of thing. It's I just got 5 hours of my week back. Now I can go and meet with people in the church, right? Or really spend more time with the people in the church. So
I'm thinking about the small church pastor who is wearing 40 hats. The mid-sized church pastor who's wearing 20 hats. um, or the pastor and staff or pastor and admin that's already overworked, right, with the demands that they're navigating everything. A platform like this not only saves time, but it gives them an end product that has the same level of excellence as a large church that has full-time staff that is solely dedicated to sermon content, streaming, not streaming, but social media content, devotionals, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so those of you that are watching this now and those that may watch this later, I'm saying I trust this resource. Our church has been using it for a year. So I wasn't even comfortable yet telling people, in a format like this or advertising for Sermon Shots until we've been through the process ourselves. To our social media team, our pastors and leaders at our church have been using it already, and they are engaged in the process. And it's easy. It's so bottom shelf that it's not even funny. And so I would encourage any of you that are looking to level up the branding, the look and feel, the social media, not just the pastors, but let me just expand the tent for a moment, because if you're in the nonprofit space or in the small business space, or if you are an influencer or you have a personal brand where you're creating content, this is a make sense move. And the price point is significantly less than many of the other platforms that are out there. I don't know if Corey is comfortable talking about the competitors, but we've looked at them. I've looked at the others, the alternatives to Sermon Shots, and I can tell you that the price point is a make sense move for what Sermon Shots is offering. So, Corey, anything you want to say to that before we jump into some of the sermon clip making?
Yeah, I can. I can speak to the price real quick. That most of everything I've shown you how to do here, you can do for right at about $50 a month. There's a few small differences in the plans, but for the most part, right around $50 a month, which I mean is what the cost of 1 hour of the month to hire somebody is worth, right? Like, I really hope that price is not the issue when you want to use this thing, because it just saves so much time.
Yeah, for sure. It's a time saver par excellence. So I know our time is getting a little bit long here. We're going to condense this a little bit.
Yeah.
Let's take some time and show everybody the meat and potatoes of Sermon Shots. And let's walk through that for a moment.
I can do this quickly if you would like to. So that's the beauty of Sermon Shots, right? Is it can be done fast. So sermon clips. Start new. And this is one feature that has a few steps. It's a 3-step process, but super simple. So it starts off by selecting the template that you want. And there's all kinds of different templates in here that you can choose from. Lots of different designs, plain and more graphics, all of that. So what you do is you select one that you want. I don't know if it matters. I'll just pick the first one on here. Lots of graphics in this one. You go next. And then this is the step where you cut it down to the 30 to 60-second moment that you want. And there's 2 main ways of doing that. One way is, say you remember the moment in the sermon. All you have to do is type in the word that you're thinking of, and it goes right to that spot in the video where that word was said. And all you have to do to cut it is simply hit the plus button of the sentences. And that's it. And right there in 4 clicks, I've created a 16-second video, basically. So you can keep track down here how long it is if you're trying to keep it under a certain amount of time, right? The other way is the AI suggested clips. So these are 10 recommended moments within the sermon. So say
I want everybody to hear that, though. He said 10. So that's 10 different posts at 10 different times that are naturally being created. And you can take the suggested clips and still edit them a little bit and change some of the copy and change some of all of that. But go ahead, Corey.
I'm correct. Yeah, I mean you know it. Yeah. So when you click on them, it pre-selects that moment for you and goes to that part in the video. And then, like you said, the beauty of this is this is not something that you have to just take. You can look at it and be like, no, actually, I didn't like that it ended there, or I wanted to remove this part, right? Like, you have the ability to adjust these things how you want. And you can go on to the next one and see the next one. and just go through these and pick the one you want. Once you've picked the one that you want, you go to the next step, and the last step, in about the length of the clip, we'll bring it all together so that I don't remember how long that clip was. 30 seconds, 30-second clip. Put it inside the template that we chose in step 2, and then we'll be able to preview the whole thing.
Just like that.
Just like that. And so here I'll click start.
Well, you know, spiritual warfare is a topic that is avoided a lot in today's church culture. For
we'll watch the whole thing, but a couple things to point out. A couple things to point out is the title. I'll come back to that in a second. Let me start.
Well, you know, spiritual warfare.
There's a title. The whole thing is transcribed right here, and all of this is editable. So you can change the fonts, you can change the colors. Say you want to match the background color, for example, like you can change that, right? You can update everything. That I'm doing this on the fly, so I know those colors are not great, but.
Well, and let me say, you can go ahead as a church, if your church has a color palette or a branding guide, that you can superimpose those on the platform where it already memorizes your color coding down to the number of the color, right? So it's not just trying to match it, close. It will match it identical to whatever number you put in there. We've done that at our church. I know a couple other churches, pastors that have done that as well. So I just want to mention that.
Yeah. And then those will save for you. So these are our quick color selections, and these are the colors that are in the template and your brand colors. So really easy to switch over. Yeah. Fonts, you can upload your own. You can use the popular ones. Logos added automatically if the template has a logo in it. You can turn it on and off. Music, so adding a sort of like extra kind of dynamic to your video, right? You just click on it and it'll add that.
Well, you know, spiritual warfare is
probably not the right music for that one, but you probably get the idea.
Yeah.
And then one of the other really great things, it may not apply to this video, but one thing that happens a lot with pastors is they go off the screen because your vertical space is very small. We have what's called AI Camera Crew. If you turn that on, it tracks the face and walks with the pastor on stage to keep them in the middle and on screen the whole time. So
this is for all the pastors that walk really fast and confuse the camera people.
Yes. or the camera person fell asleep for 5 seconds and missed that move to keep them right in the middle. Absolutely. Yeah. And then you can all these colors are changeable. So like you notice that the color might be hard to read here. You can change all the colors down here. And then the last thing that I like to show too is you can preview what it looks like on these platforms before you download. So looking at what it looks like on Facebook, on Instagram, on YouTube, TikTok. That way, if there's any sort of like overlap on this stuff over on the side, right, you can adjust it before you download and upload.
That's good stuff, man.
If you're looking at this and you realize, I don't like this template, it's not working well for my scenario, you can click on a new one, and just like that, it updates on the new one as well.
That's good stuff, man. Good stuff. Good stuff. SermonShots, y'all. So how do you get a hold of it? Well, there's your link right there. There is your link right there. SermonShots.com/Harris. That's me. Last name, Harris. So check it out. In full disclosure, I am a ambassador with SermonShots, and am committed to helping them to get the word out, helping them to get it into the hands of pastors who could benefit from it, churches that can benefit from it, nonprofits, influencers, the whole 9 yards. Because it's, again, y'all, anybody that knows me, anybody that follows me, I am very, very careful about what I put my name to, very, very careful about what I endorse, but I fully stand by 10 toes down, as we say, SermonShots. And again, our church, we use it every single week. And so what Corey and his team are doing, I'm on the list, so I get all the updates from the what do you call them? The developers.
Yep.
Yeah, the developers. And so I see the back and forth and updates and all the stuff that they're working on. It's an amazing team of people. It's a global team, and they're just doing an amazing job. And so if you are watching this, if you get a chance to watch this and you're connected in any way to any church, you're connected to a nonprofit, you're connected to organizations, you're an influencer, others, and you're trying to kind of level up, or not kind of, but you are trying to level up your social media, SermonShots is a easy way for you to do that. It's a very, very easy way for you to make that happen. And I'm happy to talk with you, answer more questions. Feel free to direct message me or inbox me on whatever platform you're watching this on. But you can go to sermonshots.com/Harris right there and check it out. And we'll be committed to helping you take the next step there with SermonShots. So Corey, anything else before we close out today?
One thing just came to mind. I would love, as you brought up the team, I've got a few of my team members that are in Philippines. I don't know if you've seen any of the news there, but they have huge flooding, and some of my team has been affected by that. So they're all safe, but as you can imagine, the big flooding there. So I would appreciate prayers for them.
Yeah, I saw a message in our in the back messaging in our platform that we use to communicate. A couple people had power outages and that kind of thing. So definitely lifting up the team there and definitely praying for them and pray that everything will be well and that they'll get back on their feet really, really fast. So thank you for making space for that, Corey.
Yeah.
Y'all, this has been amazing. This has been fun. I'm Christopher Harris, executive pastor, church consultant. I'm your friend. I'm your cousin. I'm your brother. And I'm just trying to see your church do better and level up and do amazing things. This is my new friend. This is my partner, Corey Alderin. And he's with SermonShots. And our goal is to get your church to the place where it's got access to incredible resources. So that's what we're doing today. And I'm thankful, Corey, that you made time for us today, man. It's a blessing.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, everybody. There you have it. Resources for the church. SermonShots. Let's go. If you have questions, reach out to us. Peace.